You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW. Happy New Year. The Friday, January 8th virtual show, our first show of 2021. Because of COVID, our show is temporarily moved virtually. I need to change that from temporarily because we're going to be hitting a year here soon. However, we are still virtual. You can also catch us on podcast. You can catch us on air on Saturday at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 a.m. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
It is a great day to talk about money, and that is what the show is all about: how to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you are hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We are here to answer questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And now on our show, we have Tim Cooke of Agape in-home care, 9 things that you need to decide before going to the hospital, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina, for having me. And good job 3 times pronouncing Agape correctly.
Yay. Thank you, Tim. After a career in tech industry, Tim felt called to use his business and entrepreneurial skills for a positive social impact. He was led by a belief that business should not exist solely to promote an economic bottom line, to also promote spiritual and relational bottom line. In 2018, Tim met Alex. How do you pronounce it? Wonderful, Tim. Thank you. Alex is a pastor from Rwanda who was looking for a way to enable his congregation of refugees and immigrants to pursue their calling in life. The two co-founded Agape in-home care and a way to serve seniors while simultaneously meeting short-term needs for employment and long-term career and life goals of the underemployed. The company has doubled in size in the past 2 years. Woo, woo. Agape is a Greek word used in the New Testament that means unconditional love.
Tim, what a powerful and amazing thing that you do. Let's start out of the gate. So in-home care has been around a long time. I was previously a financial advisor at one point, so I did long-term care and offered that. So I know what an important service it is and underutilized, quite frankly. So, but many people out there they kind of leave that in-home piece out of it. So can you explain to our people and give us kind of a quick overview of what exactly in-home care is?
You bet. And you'd be surprised. We still get calls from people saying, I wish I had known this service was available. We thought our only option was to go from home to a retirement facility, but that's not the case. So in-home care is a distinct licensed profession in Washington state that takes care of the acts of daily living for an individual or a couple. Acts of daily living, for anybody in the insurance space, they're very familiar with these. These are things that most able-bodied people take for granted. It's getting out of bed, getting dressed, brushing your teeth, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, bathing yourself, and toileting. Those are some of the acts of daily living. Those are ADLs, commonly referred to. The other side of what we do is the IADL, or instrumental acts of daily living. ADLs have to do with the person themselves. IADLs have to do with the environment the person is in, their home. So this is housekeeping, meal preparation, laundry, running errands, things that are needed to stay safe and clean at home.
So, Tim, this seems like a crazy time to be on the front lines of healthcare. So how has Agape been impacted?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to be very busy. This is an ever-increasing choice for people. Aging in place, which is basically a term for staying put in your home as independently as possible for as long as possible, has always been, according to AARP survey numbers, the most popular choice for people. And now it's increasing in popularity. We have several clients who are actually moving out of retirement facilities to move back into an apartment or in with family. And then subsequently, they're contacting us for that supplemental care.
Wow, that's got to be so nice too, because you can kind of do it at your own will where you're most comfortable. What a valuable thing. And I know when I get old, that's the way I want to do it, in place. It sounds good to me. One of the things that's really interesting since COVID is having businesses having to pivot around COVID and the things that you have to change. I wanted to know what's done differently with you, your business, as far as COVID now that this is, I mean, it's crazy to think we're almost a year in.
And that's a great question, Keelan. Actually, very little is different. And that shocks people oftentimes. But the reason for that is we're in an industry that utilizes what's called universal precautions. My first understanding of universal precautions was during the AIDS epidemic in the 80s, when you didn't wait for an AIDS test to come back, whether you were going to don gloves or PPE. You just assumed that any bodily fluids or liquids were contaminated. And that is our universal precautions, is what I was talking about. And this is why very little has changed after COVID, because that is our standard for training and excellence as professionals in this industry, is to assume contamination or disease, I guess, for lack of a better word, before getting confirmation of a positive test. Therefore, we always take these precautions, even if somebody says, oh yeah, my mom or dad, they're completely healthy. They have no infections whatsoever. We still take the same precautions. I will amend my answer to say that masks are the major change since COVID. That was not on anybody's radar. It was not on the Department of Health or the CDC's radar. And so it's only since their recommendation of mask donning. Now, of course, we've amped up the awareness and the training and the supply of all this PPE. But otherwise, my message to people is our industry has always gone by universal precautions.
Yeah. So, Tim, working with the elderly who are obviously at high risk of getting COVID, has anyone in your agency contacted COVID?
Well, contracted and contacted. So yes,
Contracted.
Come in contact. Yes, we've had clients who have tested positive. But back to my prior answer of universal precautions, thank God, none of our caregivers have contracted COVID. After any contact, we follow the CDC and Department of Health guidelines and pull our caregivers from the front lines, immediately get them tested, and then a subsequent follow-up test before they return to work.
That's a fantastic thing, Tim. I'm sure you piqued a lot of interest with in-home care. And I mean, this is a serious thing that a lot of people are in a position in life where they really need to consider this. So I wanted to ask, how do people find you? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, there's kind of two ways. There's a logistical way, and that's our website, agapeihc.com or 425-818-9006. But if you're asking, like, how do people discover where we're available? Well, your radio show will be one great way, but word of mouth, really. We work with a family and they spread the good news to others. That's the most hopeful way, because when that happens, we're usually coming in contact with families before there's urgency or an emergency. The other way people find us is a little bit more unfortunate, and that's through a discharge planner at a hospital. At that point, it's a stressful decision to make. And we're getting a call from somebody who's in a state of duress. They're unsure of what to do. And they're in somewhat of a panicked mode because they're having to make a decision very quickly. The discharge planner wants them out by this Friday and won't let them go until they have in-home care in place.
Yeah, and definitely, and anything when it comes to your life and finances, you don't want to procrastinate, but especially when it comes here, you want to be able to, so a call to action if you are getting at that age, or if you have parents that are getting at that age, is reach out to the show. We can connect you with Tim, because you really want to prepare ahead of time. So Tim, out of all the services that your company provides, what are the most valuable services that you offer?
Well, I point to two, which are, according to the CDC, the two greatest causes of death. And what I'm about to say comes maybe a little bit shocking or sensationalism, but it comes from the CDC website, which is the number one cause of death is falls. So fall prevention and our fall prevention program is the number one thing we get called for, and people derive value for. Now, it's not that somebody falls and instantly, quote unquote, drops dead. It's the spiral of unfortunate events that happens after that first fall, that second fall, even that third fall. The second is another leading cause of death, and it's spiked since COVID, which is social isolation. Depression comes in. People start to forget to take their medications. They stop doing their regular routine. They stop their exercising. And again, that's another spiral toward death. Those are the two greatest things people can utilize us for.
Tim, unfortunately, we're down to 1 minute. So I want to leave one last question out there for you, which if anyone visits your website, they'll notice that you have a very unique mission. And before we go, I want you to talk a little bit about that for us, please.
It's my greatest passion and the reason we started this company, and that is to serve the underemployed. Oftentimes, these are immigrants and refugees. They had a prior life. They were accountants. They were in the legal profession. They were in the healthcare field. They find themselves on new shores, and it's a challenge to navigate in a new country, and sometimes their credentials are not accepted. So our mission and our heart is to serve that underemployed for their dreams and passions, and to put them back on track for their God-given purpose in life.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, Tim. And I really was happy to have you in the show. And why we wanted to have you here is what a mission that is. So not just your company servicing the elderly community, but your employees, and providing a huge gap there. So thank you so much for being here. You have a heart of gold, and I know that your company is what it is because of you and your partner. So really appreciate you being here, Tim.
Thank you.